Welcome back to Real Estate Success Partner. I'm your host, Devin Abuke, and I've got new co-host with me today out of Birmingham, Alabama, Jack Mann. Jack, welcome to the show. And my man, you've got somebody pretty epic with you today. Who'd you bring along?
Well, thank you, Devin. I do have a very, very good friend, someone that I've gotten to know. Her name is Alicia Johnson, and she has agreed to join us here today to kind of let us learn a little bit more about her and what she does with her work. And I'm just tickled pink and blue to have her with us for a few minutes today.
I love it. Well, Alicia, EXP Realty out of Birmingham, Alabama. Great to have you here. And I think you're out at the lake house today enjoying a little sunshine, right?
I am. We moved to the lake 5 years ago. We've had this house for several years, but we just decided to make it our home. And so we moved from the city to the lake. I love it. It's beautiful out here and so peaceful, and I love the water.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I know that, you live in Birmingham or outside of Birmingham now, right? Is that where you're
Yes.
from originally?
No, I'm from Dothan, Alabama, peanut capital of the world, and I I was raised there, and then I went to school at Auburn University and got a pharmacy degree. And then I moved to Birmingham and met my husband and had 2 children. But in the meantime, we started investing in property at an early time in our marriage. So we've had property for about 30 years, and we're landlords of 9 rental properties here in the Birmingham area. And then a few years ago, several people, my husband included, he was the major supporter, said, "Hey, with your personality, why don't you just go do real estate and get your real estate license?" And I said, "All right, I'll do it." Passed the test first try and love it. I love people, love talking about houses. I love going to see new houses. So that's how it started.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, and at the end of the day, I think this is, I hear the story often. You started by developing your own real estate and your own, investment opportunities. And, you love, the industry, you love what you're doing, now, but you also have the ability to educate others because you are an investor and you have seen real estate from another side. And I think that's really important, because ultimately you've got your people that want to go out and buy homes and that's really important too. But you have other people that, have that more entrepreneurial spirit and they want to build wealth through real estate. You guys have found that wealth through real estate. And, we talk about this on the show all the time. Real estate is a market that has only seen 7 downtimes in the last 80 years. So if you're looking for a great place to put your money to build that long-term generational wealth and be able to live on the lake at some point in time and make that your permanent home and not just your second home, this is an industry that allows you to do this, but also for the general consumer, you too can be an investor and, work with somebody like Alicia to help show you the way on how they did this and how they built their real estate wealth.
Yes, you're so right, Devin. I think just that I had to start from the ground, learn all about real estate very early in our marriage, that has helped me grow and be able to communicate with people, talk about lenders, talk about how to get your financing and your credit together, and just exactly who to hook up with. And Jack Mann, he is my new lender. I look forward to sending more people to him.
I love that. Well, let's talk about this a little bit because you also talked about communication. And one thing that I know and that our audience doesn't know and probably wouldn't pick up with the name Alicia Johnson and that Alabama twang, you also speak Spanish, right?
Yes, that's correct. Both of my parents are from Puerto Rico and were born in Puerto Rico, so that makes me a full-blooded Puerto Rican. And so I spoke Spanish until I was 5, and then at 5 I learned English when I went to kindergarten.
So has that helped you out there in the Alabama market at all? Do you get a lot of Spanish speakers?
I do. Like 80% of my business is Spanish speaking clients and buyers and sellers. And so many people have moved to Birmingham. It's a melting pot. And so it's been really great.
Well, it is great, because at the end of the day, there's not always somebody that speaks the language. And we know this industry is very technical And if your native language is Spanish, you really do need to have somebody that can guide you through to help you understand the technical terms and, and how to understand, purchasing real estate. And there are a lot of clients out there in today's, environment. In fact, I believe there was a statistic I read last year. It was somewhere around 50 to 54% of home buyers in America today are of Hispanic descent. Now, what percentage of those speak Spanish? Probably a pretty big percentage of those folks are Spanish speakers.
That is correct. It's so important to help them with a lender also that speaks Spanish, and we can also get them with just different people that speak Spanish and help them out. And I can translate, so I can help lenders that do not speak Spanish. So that is a quality that I enjoy. I've been translating for probably 30 years, just to help people out when many of the Hispanics started moving to Birmingham.
Yeah. Well, you're like my wife because we go on vacation and, muy poquito over here, right? But just enough to make a few people laugh and point fingers. But my wife is also fluent in Spanish. So when we go on vacations or we go out and about, she's able to communicate. And it's a game changer, right? To have a translator with you everywhere you go.
It is. I enjoy it, and I love speaking to people, especially people that are strangers and they become my friends, and then we have a relationship and network, and sometimes friends for a lifetime.
Yeah, that's great. So, what would you say has been the secret to your success in this industry? Like, you got started, you said, I think 8 or 9 years ago. And, if you had to take that time machine back to when you're first getting started and tell somebody, do this, and this is going to help you create success in this industry, what did that look like?
I think it's very important to listen to people, listen what their needs are, listen when they tell you they don't know if they're ready to buy a house, but they want to look, or if, and I'm also a very good negotiator. I think being negotiating for either a seller or a buyer is extremely important. So now I ask for home warranties and just add for closing costs and concessions and just different things that I didn't realize early on in my
Yeah.
in my career.
Yeah, no, it's important. I mean, at the end of the day, a big part of working with the right real estate partner is somebody that understands the market, understands how to negotiate, and understands how to work for their buyer, right? Or
Right.
their seller. Either way, it doesn't matter which side of the transaction. You need
Exactly.
somebody that has that understanding, that experience.
Yes.
So if I'm a new realtor and I don't have that experience, what's your recommendation? How do I get started?
I think having a mentor, I had an awesome mentor that helped me, and always when I call them, they're there to help me, hold my hand, especially with the first couple of contracts that I wrote up. They helped me out, and reading a lot of books and education. I go to a lot more continuing education classes than I need credit for, but I just love learning new things. And sometimes if you hear things twice, it just
Yeah.
really sticks with me. And so I think that's important. I love to be out and about and helping people and asking anybody if I can help them do something. So that's my heart.
I love that you said that. I talk about this all the time. Sometimes we're ready to hear things when we're ready to hear them. I'm also in
That's true.
a lot of coaching programs and I go to, a lot of different places and sometimes it's the same message again and again. But the first time I might have been a place in my business where I wasn't quite ready to hear that yet, just because I was occupied learning other things. And then I go back and hear it. And I remember it from the first time, but it's like, oh yeah, now I can hear that now.
Yeah.
That meant that I needed to hear that today. Right.
Right. Exactly. 100%.
So, and I love that you also said, that you stay sharp. You're always out there educating yourself because again, if you're
Mhm.
going to, go out there and represent somebody in today's market, being in the know and having, all the information is super important. Knowledge is power, right? So, that's one of the reasons you're so great at what you do is because you educate yourself. It's easy to take the back seat and say, no, I know it all. No, we don't.
No, no. And their new forms come out. We had new buyer broker agreements August 17th of last year. And then just last week, we had a new form come out So there's always needing education. I like to go to the education classes on the webinars and Zoom. I try to reach them all if I'm not showing a house or doing something, just to be on the forum.
Well, I love that you said webinar because you used the last part of that word, which was NAR, and you also just kind of referenced that indirectly, but,
Yes,
there was a big scare in this industry, just a few months back. And I got to tell you, most of the realtors that I knew at that time really thought the sky was going to fall, right? Did it? Did the
right.
sky fall?
No, no sky falling. No, sky's still intact. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
How'd you get through that? What changed in your business so that you could navigate through those difficult times?
I knew that people wanted to have me be their real estate agent no matter what was going on. So I didn't have any difficulty with people signing any new forms. They were like, sure, I want you to represent me anyway. So if I have to sign a form, I'll sign a form. So it was easy for me.
Yeah.
Some of my friends, it was a little tougher. Some of my friends decided not to be realtors anymore.
Yeah.
So I just think it's just your heart for people and
Yeah.
my communication. I like to follow up. And if I don't talk to you in a week, I may talk to you in a month, but I'm going to keep up that communication to make sure everything's going well.
That's it. Well, at the end of the day, you weren't afraid because you knew what you brought to the table and you knew
Correct.
the value that you provided to your consumers, and asking them signing a form, to represent them. That's not a scary thing because you knew your self-worth. And I think a lot of people have trouble with that. They don't always recognize their self-worth. And that just shows how confident you are in what you do, but it also just shows, that, you're the right person for the job,
Thank you.
because yeah, no, but it's true. 100% it's true, no agreement's going to make you back down from being the great person that you are today.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
agree. I
absolutely.
think if you enjoy what you do, then you do a really good job.
Well, let's give some more advice out because I think you've got a lot of great advice, just the things that you've said already. So again, if I'm an agent and I'm struggling in today's market and I need to know, if I do this, this is going to help me, move the needle. What would what's the one big piece of advice that you would give that you think a lot of people should do?
And this is for a new agent just starting out.
A new agent or somebody who's stuck, right? We
Stuck.
know there's some folks out
Ah,
there like that as well.
yes. Well, I believe going to the EXP or different rallies for different realtors and just social working, social networking. We had a crawfish bowl yesterday, had some great sponsors. And so just getting out and talking to people and finding out what your niche is. And if there's something that you need help with, I love to take people with me on a showing and show them exactly what things you need to show and point out at a house and help a client, or just meet with a client and help them with their financing and credit and just do that kind of thing. So I just really like socializing and
Networking.
taking people, yeah, networking and taking
Yeah.
people under my wing to help them out. And so anybody, I love to help people.
Well, I've heard you say it twice. Find a mentor. Even though you didn't say it the second time, that's what you're saying. Taking somebody under your wing, find somebody that can help mentor you and see what they're doing, right? If you see somebody out there in the industry that's making big strides, don't be afraid to approach them and say, hey, look, I'm struggling. I need some help, And if they're the right person, they may take you under the wing and show you the way, right? And if that means changing brokerages, maybe that's what you got to do, right? Sometimes a good old fashioned shakeup goes a long way, right? Because
Yes.
a shakeup can shake your mind, but it can also lead you to somebody else. And one thing that I know, and Jack knows this too, is, we're a product of the top 5 people that we're hanging out with, right? And let me tell you something. If I'm a
Right.
loan officer or an agent or somebody who's struggling, well, the first thing I'm going to do is look at the 5 people that I'm surrounding myself with. And if they're not getting it done either, I'm going to find a new 5 people.
That's a great idea. I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk another direction here. So, we talked about what the agents can do, but let's say that we've got a borrower that's tuning in, and we do, and they're scared of the market right now. Some people are, some aren't, some are very clear, but what's a good piece of advice for a buyer who's, concerned about engaging in the market right now?
Well, there are several plans that lenders are offering now, buying down the rate and just different incentives. They sometimes new construction has like a $7,000 aid that they can put into closing cost or different things like that. There's always um, just look at, like, I think it's what is it? Date the rate, marry the house, but date the
House state
rate.
rate.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
want to go ahead, even though the interest rates are a little high now, then you can later on you can refinance and get a better rate, or just find a different house. You can downsize. There's several options.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about something real quick, because I know you're an investor. How long you been investing for? When did you buy your first investment property?
First, 33 years ago.
33 years ago. What was the rate?
Yes. Probably 2.5%.
2.5, 33 years ago. And
Yeah.
what was the highest rate you ever closed on a house? Personally.
Probably since all of them were at least 20 years ago, because they're all paid off. All my rental houses are paid off. So there's probably 7%.
7%. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
which is
what
what
I
we are
know is when I
now,
got
because
into
it
the
went all
industry
the way
back
up to
in
13.
2002, rates
Yes.
were at all-time low. Yeah. We're at 6.5. Rates were at 6.5. We were in a refi
Yes.
boom, and they got down to
Yes.
5.5. Right. So, I
Right.
think rates being high is subjectable because we just came out of the perfect storm. Right. We had the most
Yes.
amazing rates, and some people closing as low as a 1.99. Right. But then
Right.
in addition to that, we had an anomaly with prices of homes skyrocketing. Right. So you come out of that and you're going, well, man, now it's so unaffordable to buy a house. But it isn't. I think it's difficult because you have the combination of the two: increased property values and increased rates. But let's also talk about it from the flip side. So you own 9 homes, as you just said, free and clear. You don't have to disclose the exact value, but did they appreciate over the years?
Yes. And the rents went up over the years also,
Yeah. So
especially
did that
about
help
5 or 6 years ago. They were, so many people were not buying houses, so more people were renting.
Yeah.
So rent was able to go up every couple of years. And so now it's pretty good.
Yeah. So as a result of that, you've seen, legacy in the real estate that you've owned. You've built yourself
Yes.
a really nice nest egg. I'm pretty confident if you just wanted to stop doing real estate tomorrow, you probably could, right? But at the end of
You
the
are
day, the more,
correct.
yeah. But the moral of the story is if you're a buyer out there, now I always say this: if you need to buy a home, right? Not if you don't need. If you don't need to buy a home, don't buy a home. Don't be afraid of where the market is. The marry the house, date the rate. I think that it's a little cliche, but what we really want to
Mm-hmm.
educate you to understand is that there's equity in real estate and it grows. It's the
Yes.
one investment that has survived market after market after market after market, and homes tend to appreciate 5.5% per year. So if you're on the fence and you're out there sticking around waiting for the rates to get low, guess who else is waiting for the rates to get low?
Everybody else.
Everybody else.
Yes.
Everybody else. And what they say is for every 1% the rates come down, 1 million people come back to the market, right? So
Right.
now what happens? Rates get better, but in the background, what's happening every single day is property values are already going up. They go up every single year, on average 5.5%. So the house that you want to buy now just went up 5.5%, but then the market changes and everybody jumps back in. Now you're bidding, and now you're paying more to own the same house.
Yes.
Whereas if you bought today, you pay slightly higher interest rate, but you bought the house cheap or cheaper, right? And
Right.
when the market improves, you could refinance that potential. So when they say bury the house, date the rate, they don't tell you the whole story behind that. What else you're missing out on by not moving forward when the timing is right. And the timing right for the buyer, I personally think is right now. Am I correct? I know here in Dallas, you can negotiate on a house right now. Can you negotiate in Birmingham?
Yes, you can. We closed on a house this morning.
Yeah.
Yes, we've had several closings. Really, now is the time. I always tell people March, April, May, it's the best time.
Yeah. Well, and that's coming from the person that owns 9 properties free and clear and could retire
Yes.
tomorrow if they wanted to, right? And at the end of the
Right.
day, do you need another real estate sale? Probably not. right?
Probably not, but I love it. It's just
Yeah.
it's fun for me. It just makes my day.
Yeah. Well, and that's it, because at the end of the day, it's not about the money for Alicia. She does it because she loves it. So when you hear advice like that from somebody like her, you need to take it. This is somebody who's lived that industry from the inside out and has seen the wealth that's growth as a result of that. And, you need to take advantage of that too. Another thing I like to bring up, for consumers that are in house prison right now, right? I think some people are in house
Right.
purgatory is, we bought in, we got these great interest rates. Well, one thing that I know is that a lot of those same folks have a ton of equity, and simultaneously, they don't love the house they bought because when they did buy it, they had to act fast so that they could win the bid because there were multiple offers when they went to buy those homes. And now they're afraid to get out of that house because they've got a great interest rate and they don't want to put themselves into a higher rate in today's market. Well, as Alicia just said, we have buy down opportunities now. With those buy down opportunities, you could potentially do a temporary buy down to get your rate back into the fours. Going from 3 to 4 isn't that big of a deal, but let's talk about something else. A lot of these same clients have massive credit card debt right now. And average credit card rate in the United States today is 25 to 30%. That's ridiculous, right? So we're afraid to
Right.
take a 5.5, 6.5, 4.5 rate to get out of purgatory, right? But we have
Right.
massive equity at our home that could be utilized to pay off 30% credit card debts and put yourself in a much better financial position. So, educate yourself, right? Think about that.
Right.
Just take the time to sit down. You don't have to take my word. Just take out a calculator, do a little math. And at the end of the day, if you are not happy in your home and it's time to move, this is a way that you can get out of that. What do you think of that strategy, Alicia?
I think that's 100% the best way to do it.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. Well, I would love to keep you here all day, but I know you got rain coming and you need to enjoy some of this beautiful sunshine. What did we not tackle today that we should have?
I think we tackled everything today. It was really good conversation. I enjoyed it, and I love real estate, and I look forward to helping the next person tomorrow.
I love that. I love that. Well, when the folks out there want to find you, we know that you're in the Birmingham market. Is that where you serve? Is that primarily Birmingham?
Yes, I do serve south of Birmingham and north of Birmingham, so up to Huntsville and down toward Montgomery. About a hour radius either way, 2 hour radius. I go that far. I've been to Henry Neely Dam. I've sold houses up there, and I love to sell houses on the lake.
Well, there it is. So whether you're looking for a house in the city or a house by the lake or, just something that fits within those parameters, look out for Alicia Johnson. And Alicia, how do the folks get in front of you?
Well, my phone number, 205-515-9983. And then my email is Alicia Johnson, Realtor #1 @gmail.com.
It's because she's number one, folks. She's number one.
It was available.
I love it. I love it. Well, and whether you're speaking English or Spanish, she's got you covered. And, if you're out there in that Birmingham area, you need somebody that speaks the language and you don't speak English. Alicia is going to be able to guide you through with all that expertise and all the knowledge that she brings to the table from her 33 years of understanding and owning real estate, right? So thank you so much, Alicia, for joining us today.
All right. Thank you. Call or text me anytime. I look forward to showing anyone a house.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you should. Now, Jack, I can't leave you hanging over there. I know we didn't talk a lot today, but you're also out there in that Birmingham, Alabama market. Is that correct?
I am, and Alicia is one of a number of agents that I work with, and I have to say that Alicia inspires me just because at the core of Alicia's day is helping people. Yes, there's some financial gains that she makes from doing her work, but I think by and large, Devin, what really appeals to me about Alicia's approach is that she asks the right questions and she truly cares about her clients. And I do the same thing with mine. And I think that shows, and I think that's what keeps people coming back to not only Alicia, but to me and to my company as well.
I love that, man. I love that. And Jack, you're on the mortgage side. Who do you represent?
I work with New Beginnings Mortgage here in Birmingham, and our branch, works with a lot of different people all over Alabama, but we're also in several other states. But primarily, I just work in the Birmingham area with agents like Alicia and many others.
That's it, guys. So here's a dream team. If you're out there in the Birmingham market and you want a great agent with tons of experience or a great loan officer who happens to work with my company, different branch, but same company, you've got a dynamic duo here. So, well, guys, we appreciate you being here, both of you. Thank you so much for taking the time to jump on and podcast it up with us today. And to our audience and viewers out there, hey, thanks for tuning in. I know, when you get to hear from great people in the industry like Alicia and Jack, you're educating yourself and learning, who the right people to do business with are. So thank you for joining in every single week. And hey, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you want to know anything real estate related, reach out to Alicia. She's going to be there to help you out. And, if you want to know something on the lending side, talk to my man, Jack, literally Jack Mann, out of New Beginnings in Birmingham, Alabama. So thanks again, guys, for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right.